Pablo Aimar was the player I admired the most. Apart from Maradona, who always comes first for Argentines, I loved him very much.
Lionel Messi, the man who has won 8 Ballon d'Ors, the man who conquered the world, the man who many consider the greatest footballer who ever lived. He only ever had one idol, and Messi wasn't the only one who was mesmerized by him. Diego Maradona, the man who defined Argentine football for an entire generation, famously said that this player was his natural heir. In fact, Maradona went even further. He said he was the only player in the world he would pay to watch. So who was he? How does a player idolized by Lionel Messi and revered by Diego Maradona end up being a name that modern football has almost entirely forgotten? This is the story of Pablo Aimar, El Mago, the magician. Like so many of the great Argentine attackers, Pablo Aimar wasn't born in Buenos Aires. He hailed from the city of Rio Cuarto, spending his evenings learning his trade on the streets, the same streets that have produced some of the most gifted footballers the world has ever seen. His father, Ricardo, loved football, but he also understood the brutal mathematics of the sport. He told his son, "You're too young to be playing that much football and moving from home. Focus on your studies." But Pablo didn't listen. It was football or nothing. He traveled to the capital and joined the Academy of River Plate, one of the most storied clubs in South American football. He turned down the opportunity to study medicine, choosing instead to navigate the brutal, aggressive world of the Argentine top flight. He made his first team debut at just 16 years old. He was lightweight, he took heavy knocks, but he had something that couldn't be taught. He didn't have blistering pace. He didn't rely on raw power. Instead, he glided. He moved around the pitch, looking for pockets of space, comfortable receiving the ball on either foot, turning games around with a single perfectly weighted pass. His teammate, Marcelo Salas, put it simply, "Aimar is special. If I stay central, he will find me." He always does. By the time he was 21, he had scored 21 goals and provided 28 assists in just 82 games for River Plate. Diego Maradona was calling him his natural heir. Europe was calling, and Aimar was ready to answer. In January 2001, Aimar had offers from England, Italy, and Spain. Real Madrid wanted him, but they were focused on breaking the world record for Zinedine Zidane, so Aimar chose Valencia. He became their club record signing, and he delivered immediately. He drew praise from Johan Cruyff in his very first month at the club. The Spanish press dubbed him El Mago, the magician. Under manager Rafael Benitez, Valencia did the unthinkable. In an era dominated by the Galácticos of Real Madrid and the financial power of Barcelona, Valencia won La Liga, conceding just 27 goals all season. Aimar was the creative hub. He dropped deep, dictated the play, and set his teammates free. 2 years later, they did it again, winning a historic La Liga and UEFA Cup double that remains the greatest achievement in the club's history. For a brief shining moment, Pablo Aimar was the most watchable attacking midfielder in Europe. He was at the absolute peak of his powers. But football is a cruel game, and the magic was about to fade.
Aimar tiene a Oliveira por arriba buscando. ¡Qué balón le acaba de poner! ¡Qué balón le acaba de poner Oliveira! ¡El segundo del Valencia! Eso sí.
Rafael Benitez left for Liverpool. Claudio Ranieri arrived, and everything changed. Ranieri didn't trust Aimar's free-flowing style. He pushed him out to the flanks. He used him as an impact substitute. The freedom that Aimar needed to thrive, the freedom that had made him the most dangerous player in Spain, was gone. And then the injuries began. Niggling muscle problems, ankle issues. The physical toll of being the most targeted player on the pitch began to catch up with him. His confidence waned. The player who used to run at defenses with reckless abandon started playing it safe. In 2006, he left Valencia for Real Zaragoza. It was a step down, but he just wanted to play. He formed a brilliant partnership with Diego Milito, but the injuries persisted. Zaragoza were relegated. He moved to Benfica, where he enjoyed a brief renaissance, winning the league title alongside his old friend Javier Saviola and a young Angel Di Maria, but his body was failing him. He moved to Malaysia for a brief stint before returning to River Plate for one final emotional substitute appearance in 2015. The magician had waved his wand for the last time. When Pablo Aimar retired, the debate began. Where does he rank among the Argentine greats? He didn't win a World Cup like Maradona. He didn't win 8 Ballon d'Ors like Messi. But perhaps his legacy isn't measured in trophies. Perhaps it's measured in inspiration. Years later, Lionel Messi was asked about his childhood. He said, "Apart from Maradona, who always comes first for Argentines, Pablo Aimar was the player I admired the most. I loved him very much." Think about that. The greatest player in the history of the sport, a man who has inspired millions of children around the world, spent his own childhood trying to play like Pablo Aimar. When Aimar was asked how it felt to be Messi's idol, he was typically humble. He said, "The thought that I was Messi's idol makes me so proud. I once read that Zidane had said something similar about Enzo Francescoli. To hear Messi say it fills me with pride." We spend so much time arguing about who is the greatest. We count the trophies, we tally the goals, we compare the statistics. But football is not a spreadsheet, it is an art form. Pablo Aimar didn't conquer the world. He didn't break every record, but he played the game with a grace and an elegance that enchanted everyone who watched him, including the 2 greatest players Argentina has ever produced. He was the player that Maradona would pay to see. He was the player that Messi wanted to be. He was El Mago. And for those who were lucky enough to watch him play, the magic will never be forgotten.